And welcome back to another episode of the Best of Three podcast. I'm Alvin, that's Torrey. Sunday
Yes,
evening.
sir. Yes, sir.
How we doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Good to see you. I saw you yesterday at Anya's graduation party. It's great. It was good seeing you in person.
That was the first time in a little bit. It's been a little bit.
It has been. You know what I mean? And that's on me. I've been busier than a long-tailed cat in a rocking chair factory, if you know what I'm saying.
You know, it's not all your fault. As I'm driving up, so I live in the city, or you're a little north of the city. As I'm driving up there, I'm like, "Ooh, it is. We are South Chattanooga up here. It's far,
but technically South Clemson. You know
okay, there you
go. 85.
Go 85. No, it is 75. Yeah,
but no question, man. No question. If one more exit up, and it splits into 985 going towards Gainesville. I mean, that's how far up we are. It's crazy. I mean, sometimes I'm coming home, I'm like, how did I went to Morehouse, Alvin? I went to school downtown. I sometimes wonder, how did I get so far out in the darn suburbs, man? I mean, but hey, it is what it is.
One step at a time.
It didn't happen overnight, I'll tell you that. It didn't happen overnight. And so anyway, but yeah, great seeing you. Always appreciate seeing your face in the place. It was a little surreal seeing my youngest graduate last week, and obviously having a little grad party this past weekend. A lot of friends and family over the last 30 plus years. She's 22 now, and as you can appreciate, all this gray hair, you know, has been well earned. But it was great seeing you and many others yesterday. So shout out to any of you who were able to make it. And it was just a neat thing, and I appreciate everybody being part of that journey, and those who have indirectly been a part of our lives. So and you, absolutely. Foremost of which. So really appreciated you being there.
Yeah, it's good to be there. And I appreciate the invite, and I wouldn't miss it for anything. And obviously I didn't. I was there in person. Some people were like, "Oh, yeah, what do you mean you haven't seen Torrey in a while?" I was like, "Yeah, it's been like probably, I don't know, maybe a year, 15 months, even though we see each other often and talk often. Right. In the same place. It's been it's been a minute, but technology allows us to do these things, so that's nice.
Yeah. Yes, nice. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it is. So where are we right now? It's Sunday. Rome men's final ended today. Women's finals yesterday. It's been a fun tournament. So I think we flipped a coin earlier. It landed on tails. So we're going to talk about the men first, and then we'll come back and talk about the women. I watched this match. I was very giddy for it. Like, I was so excited because the way rivalries go, right? We don't always get them all the time, and especially when like it's number one and number two, it's like they both got to do some work to get to a chance to play each other, right? So like even back in the Fed Nadal days, like it still took a while for them to play, and sometimes it's 2-3 times a year. Sometimes they go a year and they don't play, so it's not all the time. So when you get these guys, especially with Jannik coming back, just coming back, and
in Rome,
oh man, oh gosh, that center court in Rome, tight, high sides like a Coliseum. He's in all black. You can feel the crowd, like especially during that Tommy Paul match. It was really cool. I think it's really, really neat that we get to see these players on home turf. Like, you saw Carlos in Spain and in Barcelona. Now you got Jannik here. Fantastic stuff. But it felt like a slam final going into it. What did you feel before the match, and then like what did you feel after?
Yeah, I'll start with after. Didn't feel like a slam final after, obviously. And I'm not sure if Jannik was gassed. I'm not sure if the level just dropped off. Before, I was expecting some solid tennis. Let's face it, Carlos is playing great tennis right now. Jannik really did a phenomenal feat, in my opinion, to come back after 3 months off and reach the final. We need to say that. You don't just come off of a 3-month break, 90 days, whatever it was, and then get to a final of the 1,000. It helped that he was in his home country. It helped that it was in Rome, and it helped it was on clay. He's obviously very adept on clay. I just felt like we still have to remember he is 90 days minus a lot of matches. And so for him to be back that strong at that point in time was a big deal to see. He could have very easily went out, to an also ran, you know what I mean, to a player that wasn't as good. Hey, Arnaldi beat Novak. You know
Right.
what I mean? First round of a clay court event, and you're talking 24 slams. So clearly, the guy's not different story, different situation. I won't digress. But the point I'm making is, it was important for me to see. It was important for me to see Jannik return to form so quickly. It felt like every match he got a little stronger. Al, you and I talked about this before a little bit yesterday even. I felt like Jannik almost peaked a bit early,
Right.
in the tournament. I thought in that match when he played against Casper, probably was his best match of the tournament. Didn't look bad against Tommy Paul, let's be honest. I mean, looked very, 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 very sharp. And I'm one that feels like, and so for the viewers at home, when you play a week-long event, 7 days, it's hard to play your best tennis in 7 days. Some would say impossible. So you're going to have this situation from time to time where you're going to play your best day on a day you didn't expect.
Right.
And
or a day you didn't need
you
it.
wanted.
Yeah.
You needed. And that was probably against Casper Ruud, right? On what was that, Wednesday or Thursday? So
yeah, something like that.
Here we are now on a Sunday, right? And he's back to playing kind of normal, kind of more mortal, right? And on a day he needed a little bit more, right? I don't, make no mistake, that was a good match. Casper played him solid. The score doesn't reflect it, but he played him solid. There was several long rallies, good points. The opening point album was like 28 shots.
It was a highly contested match.
Right, but it wasn't contested in the score, but certainly was contested at the point. I say it to say, very solid, very sharp, and perhaps one of his best matches to date in that tournament to date. And everything else, the problem with the peak, Alvin, is then you come down.
Right, so he beats Casper cleanly and then loses the first set against Tommy like 6-0 or 6-1. It was like, okay,
right.
yeah.
Well, back to reality.
Right.
Yeah. Eminem style.
Right. So for me, like that match was, like I said, I was highly anticipated. I was ready for it like everybody else. But I thought back to like the last time they played on clay, which was French Open last year, or semis. Match was not pretty. Like neither player really played well at the same time, which happens, right?
Right.
But I think the things that make both of them so special and why they're able to, be number one and number two in the world right now, they can't do the same things against each other.
Right.
That's
cancel each other out a lot.
Yeah, like Jannik likes to lean on people, like he likes to hug the baseline. He does it even on clay. Takes the ball early and just really imposes his quality of ball on people, right?
Sure.
But hard to do when like the guy on the other side of the net is hitting the heaviest ball on tour, like coming at you. Like so, it really, they force almost bad tennis out of each other, which is less entertaining tennis.
Where you're going with this, I think it might do a disservice to the matchup in my mind, and that's where I may digress a little bit. Here's what I see. Because of the dihedral opposite in the ball type, what I see is a player that if they're not as sharp, and in this matchup, the rock, paper, scissors, the onus is on Jannik's on the rise.
Right.
And if he's not as sharp, you're going to see some ugly tennis. And I think that's where you and I may have our Overton window. I do not think that Carlos plays much different. If anything, if Carlos goes bigger too early, I think that actually aids Jannik's game. And let's be on the rise, hurt him back because Jannik, he's the human palm, right? So he's going to come forward on that ball. But I was actually I'll change gears here, very impressed to see Carlos be patient.
Yeah.
I was very impressed to see him not force. He probably hit Alvin 20, maybe more drop shots. I mean, he probably hit when he had him. Carlos loves his drop shot. Don't get me wrong, and I think it's a great shot. It's coming back. Obviously, Jannik used it quite well as well. I felt like Carlos had the game plan of running him today, running his legs out from under him more than beating him.
Right.
And I thought it was a very smart move by his camp. I thought it was a very smart tactical move. He is not match tough. He's just coming back from it. Let's see how long he can last per rally. And I was impressed that he did not pull the trigger as often.
Right.
Had him on a rope, 3-4 shots back behind him, of course. went deep, went solid, went down the line several times, and then it's like, let's just gut check you. Let's just check your legs real quick with a drop shot. Right. Not necessarily his drop shot winner, just to see, and then we'll play the long point to see at what point. Let me see where your fitness level is going into French, right? Let me just see where you're at, because I'm feeling pretty good right now. I'm in pretty good shape, pretty good match shape. Are you?
So let me ask you maybe two things here. Like, so when we start to look at this matchup, like obviously both players are very exciting, right? We as fans, we watch them and this like these guys are entertaining. But as practitioners, when you go, okay, if I'm Carlos Alcaraz's camp, how am I game planning to beat Jannik Sinner? And let's say Carlos has beaten him 4 times in a row now. So this is not, they're all a little different, but this is not abnormal, right? And then I guess the second thing, obviously the Sinner side of it, but the second thing is like, I was thinking about these players that really make us go, wow, with their shot making ability.
Yep.
But what is the actual thing that they're really, really good at? And I think Carlos, to your point about being like, not only is he match tough right now, Carlos is insanely fit. Like he's insanely fit. He hasn't lost a 5th set match, I think, since Berrettini beat him in like 2021 Australian Open. Like he's so fit. So when you get into like this is his 3rd tournament in 6-7 weeks, right? He's ready to go. Like winner, final now. Like he was ready to go. So I didn't think like you said, he seemed very willing to like, I'll be out here all day. I'm fine. You're the one who hasn't played this level of tennis in a long time.
I hold my calls. I'm ready. I got the whole afternoon. You know what I mean? I've got the whole afternoon. Let me know. Let me know if you want to go long again. You want to go 3? I'll play a 3rd set with you. Let's just give the fans a preview for the French. And that's what I saw, Alvin. You were going to ask a question though.
Oh yeah. So like, that's one thing that I think Carlos is very, very good at. Like the skill he has. Like we talk about Federer's shot making ability, but I think Federer's thing that he actually worked really hard on that you maybe can't see as a quote unquote layperson. His footwork, impeccable, right? And that allows him to be in position to make all of these great shots. So, but from a tactic standpoint, let's go back to that part. Like, what is it that Carlos is looking to do to Jannik when he goes out in that matchup?
I'm putting myself in the Alcaraz camp.
Yeah.
I am, number one, taking advantage of my fitness. Juan Carlos Ferrero was one of the most fit guys on the tour. We talked about this one episode before, walking past him in Australia. We talked about this in Australia, and he was doing 2-on-1s on an off day before the final. And Alvin, we walked back by the courts, and there were 2 new guys, fresh guys, getting ready for him. So Juan Carlos he's probably still fit right now. He can probably still go 2 out of 3 right now with top 10 in the world and grind him down. That's just number one. But in the Gil Reyes, Andre Agassi chapter of things, he's making sure that Carlos does not waste the fitness by being too flashy too early. He wants to see those guys brand. He wants to see Carlos, and let's face it, a fit guy like Carlos needs a few reps to finally get the heart rate up enough to start feeling it. So that's number one. Let's make the match physical, not so much in a bruising, Rafa Nadal, heavy ball, buggy whip, I'm sliding 20 feet to the right or left. In a, let's just go 15 balls so I can work up a little lather here and get myself, I'm feeling good. You might be winded. And that's what I'm going to always lean on as the go-to. I can always hit a down line point winner. But I think what Juan Carlos in the camp is getting to understand is, but you don't have to.
Right.
It took Andre 7 years to really learn that lesson. Before Gil Reyes and his camp started really helping Agassi see, no one knows how fit you are because you're ending the point too soon.
Right.
So that's number one. Lean on the fitness. Number two, hit your heavy ball sooner. Go behind them, of course, and then wait and see. Wait, see. We know you got down the line, but you always have your down the line zinger. Don't use it unless you have to.
Right.
In fact, in some earlier matches, I felt like he's used the zinger a little too early, and he's been the aggressive baseliner when he doesn't have to be. So that's the other part. Be more patient. work the guys a little bit. Let's just see what they can do.
Yeah.
And kind of work a different version of counter punish, where it's not that he's the counter punisher only. He's giving you a chance to run in first because he knows you're going to spin your wheels. And then third, and Alvin, this is to me his secret sauce. Carlos, to me, has the same serve on the second as he does on the first. I don't think he has a first serve, I'll be honest. He's got a phenomenal second serve.
Yeah.
And he uses it all the time. You look at so many second serve points, there is no second serve. There is no weakness on the second serve. He serves the same serve. So that, to me, is something I don't think
well, the flip side of that is like he doesn't get a lot of easy points off the first serve.
Right? 100%. He has, in my opinion, as a big server, he has no first serve. But, buddy, that second is no joke because it's the same as his first. So those, to me, are his three ways. And in this matchup with a guy like Jannik, who's got some of the best returns in the game, you need that. Because, if you give him any kind of weakness to pick apart, he'll do it. Yeah. And I think all three happen to match up well today because of, I think Jannik's all in incredible shape, maybe not in match shape and in match toughness right now. But you heard right here. Do I think Jannik will lose any 5-set matches in the French? Absolutely not. Once he gets the matches back in him. But 90 days will take its toll on you in terms of toughness.
This is an interesting one. So the 90 days thing, we talked about it last episode that, between ATP finals or maybe Davis Cup, he takes off almost 2 months, 2.5 months between official matches before he goes to Australian Open. Like no warm-up event, just like we're going to train, we're going to go into it.
Yep.
But the difference between the Australian Open and this event, right? He's got a full week of matches against guys who are ranked outside the top 50. Right?
Okay.
And he can get yourself into it, right? You're the number one seed. You're not playing a seed until round 3, right? Whereas here, he's got a seed. Yeah, it's round 3, but it's like 5 days into the tournament, right? And add to that, he hasn't played any matches before this, like official matches. Like, he was probably like 4 or 5 days away from being able to handle going the distance with Carlos Alcaraz in 2 out of 3, right?
Right.
So I think that's the difference between this kind of, break coming into a, 2 out of 3 set tournament versus going into a 3 out of 5 set Grand Slam, the whole timing aspect of it. Also, Jannik has this weird record where like he hasn't won a match that's gone longer than 3.5 hours. That is, I think that's notable. Like that's something.
Certainly something to put in the back of your head if you're in a long match with him. If I'm a guy like a Rude, a Cerundolo,
Zverev,
let's put him off to the side right now. Let's just no offense to Sasha, but let's put him over there.
We handled him. We handled him already.
But to your point, anybody else who who is, in my opinion, Tommy Paul, somebody who is as fit and can go that same distance and threaten you on a bad day. I think that's what you're getting at, in my opinion. Which is unfortunately why I push your boy Zverev off to the side. Zverev may push his own self onto the side.
I only say it on clay, right, at French Open, like where there's just you can get to 3.5 hours in 3 sets on clay, as opposed to 3.5 hours at the Australian Open. Like that was, you could include the trophy ceremony in the final there. That the whole thing, right?
100%. It's just 3.5 hours on the clay might be how they schedule matches. You know what I mean?
Right.
4 sets is going to take you 3 hours. I mean, bottom line.
There was one thing I noticed in the match though. Like I saw you looking at the different stroke matchups, right? Like so, whenever the two players got into a backhand to backhand rally, center is on it. Like Carlos tried to lift, center is just like, I'm not backing up. He'll jump, hit the hitch kick, like just I'm not backing up, and I've got this, and I'll lean on you.
Crouching tiger, hidden dragon.
Exactly.
Complete. Yep.
But on the forehand side, Carlos is able to get so much action that Jannik can't do that on the forehand wing. So like he's going high heavy, like waiting for that short ball, and just you mentioned like being patient, and then now that it opens up the drop shot when you move into the middle of the court, he can go forehand line on the right ball with big safe margins. And that was, he seemed very comfortable in that space. Like he seems more comfortable on clay with that particular technique. But like even more so than he was in Monte Carlo. Like from Monte Carlo to Barcelona to Rome, you can see him be more and more comfortable with like you mentioned earlier. I don't have to pull the trigger. I'm good enough to just let my ball do the work and trust in my fitness, and the 100%. Things will open up for me.
100% for all the said reasons we listed before. Jannik Sinner and Carlos play a lot alike in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
The flip side of that is, I think Jannik has a little bit more punishing return, and I think
and a bigger serve.
Yeah, on the clay that difference goes away a little bit because the clay is going to take it away, and I think obviously Carlos has a bigger forehand. But besides all that, they both move quite well.
Yep.
I was very, very impressed with the core position of both players in this match. It wasn't like anybody gained ground. There was a weaker response from Jannik's forehand from time to time. Mm-hmm. When Carlos was able to hook the forehand wide enough, it coughed up a shorter ball or a wider angle, which of course got him ran. It was able to sting him down the lines on several occasions. But to your point on the backhand, it was almost like I looked for Jannik to have a bigger backhand, and Carlos's backhand is just as good. I mean, so it was one of those matches where I had actually thought that was how the match was going to go. It was going to be on that backhand breakdown. Carlos has a good backhand, so it's not like he didn't change out of it like he had to. He stayed cross the whole time, and if anything, I felt like he felt pretty comfortable.
And he tried some things too, like he wasn't always banging, he was lifting.
He lifted, he threw some slice, and it was notable to me, and you may have caught the same thing, every drop shot, and I say every, I didn't see every, but the majority of the drop shots went ironically, to Jannik's forehand, which I thought was kind of interesting. It's like almost like a cross-court droopy dropper. It wasn't like I'm just going to run you. It was like, let me just get you in this corner so I can, because he has got a play after the drop shot now where he closed the net on you and has some pretty good hands and a lot of volleys. So that play is going to yield a lot of benefits going forward. My point, Albert, is I think they play a lot alike as far as their base game. I felt like Carlos did a great job of being patient. It boded well for him today. I think it'll bode well for him later on. I think he's so fit and so much tough right now that he just knows that you really can't hurt me, period. And you certainly can't outlast me. And I've hit the ball pretty well. And instead of being the 22 that he is, thinking I can hit the biggest ball in the world right now, he's playing like a guy at 27, 28. Let me just play smarter than you right now. And that, to me, is what I took away from the match in totality, because that bodes well for a very solid next 2 weeks in Roland Garros. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
Now,
right after the match, like Courier was on Tim Channel talking to Andy Roddick about it, and they both were like, both players come away from this match pretty happy, right? Sure. Carlos just like, I got the job done, played well, got into a tight spot, like at I think 5-6 serving. Right. He was down double break point and got out of it, gets into a tiebreaker, plays a decent breaker, and then I think, Jannik kind of faded pretty quickly after that. You know, it's a lot to ask.
Early break, contested game at 2-0, 3-0, whatever, and after that it was pretty much gone.
Yeah, but I think Carlos, you have to look at it like not in just the match or just this tournament, but in the last 2 months, he's won a lot of matches in a lot of different ways. Like the way he got through Monte Carlo, not playing great tennis, right? Goes through Feast in a tough match that was just kind of, he wasn't able to do what he did today then. Like he was still trying to do the thing, go for it, go through him, and it just like finding that middle happy place where he can just let his ball do the work. Wasn't able to find that until about the third set of that match, right? Okay. We get to Barcelona. You see he started playing really, really well. They put some things together. Comes out a little lame against Rune in the final. Whatever. But at this point, we're like...
And dinged up, to your point. But and to your point now, I don't want to cut you off, and seems healed up. That's my point.
Madrid was a nice break. It's a nice
100%.
break. It's a nice break. And then comes into this tournament, and he was there, ready. I think he dropped a 1 set in the tournament, and looked better and better each match. Even in in the match against Musetti prior, where, and I want to talk about Musetti in a little bit here, but the win was awful, not the prettiest match. But Carlos just stayed the course. He's like, I am a winner. I'll figure this out. I'm going to be better than you enough to get through this. And you know, that's kind of what champions do. They raise their floor on bad days.
To my point, in order, the fitness, he knows he's as good, and he's got that second serve for first serve that he knows there's no real drop off or holes in his game. And when you lead fitness first, it puts you in a great situation because you know the guy really can't do much to you. If this match goes long, great. You know, it's better for me. Not just great, better for me. And I'm hitting the ball well. I have a heavy ball. I've got some maturity. I know I can work the court. I can move well, the addition being fit. So I can spin my wheels out here. And if I got to go 25 balls to win this point, I will, just to make sure I can check out your fitness in the process. And then I think, I really feel like this was a great match for him, not just to notch up the belt one more time on Jannik in Rome, I might add. And I don't think the Rome part plays much into it with Alcaraz. I mean, the Spanish continuously seem to be, the Spanish fans seem to be out there in full force for him. And he never really, aside from that, that tough spot that late in the first set and obviously in the breaker, I feel like after that, you kept hearing him, check the crowd on several occasions, trying to just try to, he was one part silencing the crowd, but one part also saying, seemed a little bit more like, I don't hear you. You know what I mean? It seemed had a little bit of the hey, I know he's the home crown hero, but don't sleep on me. And I just like that whole. It wasn't rude, and it wasn't in any way antagonizing to Jannik.
Sure, yeah.
But the Italians can only respect a little attitude back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can only respect a little bit of that Italian. Right back at him. And that was neat to see him address it a little bit, in the crowd. And I got to tell you, Alvin, I like the kid's moxie. I really do. I like how he handled the match. He was very gracious in his win. He knew that it wasn't necessarily Jannik's best match. He knew Jannik was just coming back, looking forward to some more. He didn't kick the hornet's nest. At the same time, he wasn't afraid to let him know, hey man, I'm up in here.
Yeah. So I was thinking about this as I'm getting settled, right? I had the TV outside on the deck. I think my kids wrote that like birthday parties or something. Like it was a nice time for me to just sit in and watch tennis. And I'm looking at the whole, like all the crowd shots, and I was like, man, must be so cool for a local. Like, I mean, obviously the final of the Italian Open is a hard ticket to get, right? I'm sure. But if you are a Roman and you have a ticket to this final and the weather was gorgeous, right? This looked amazing, and not say hometown, but like the best player in the world is Italian. He's back. He's in the final, and he's playing against the other best player in the world. And it's like, man, this is so cool. And this is like one of the like neat things about the the global nature of our sport. We talked about a little before, like with we've got some good players like Arthur Fils coming into Roland Garros being a French guy, like Paolini and Sinner being Italian, getting to the finals of the Italian Open, Carlos Pryor getting to the finals of Barcelona. So like this is the same thing with like even Zverev and where were they before Munich? Like when we travel around to different places and these players get to play at home events and they have these home fans, it's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah.
But I think that was one of the cool things that I took away from it. But I think the final was let me ask this enough about the final. Going into this event, and this is why results make rankings and rankings make seedings. I say this all the time. Who besides Sinner could keep Alcaraz from winning French Open? Like we talk about his fitness, we talk about his 5-set record. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen unless he gets hurt.
Injuries. Only way I could see him at this point, he's playing too solid right now. There aren't any really bad matchups for Carlos. I don't want to jinx the young man. He's playing some great tennis right now. I just don't see anybody out there playing the level of tennis that can do that at this point in time. The the vacuum we are in right now is minus some of the best players in the game. And we are really seeing tennis as it normally is. The last 20 years being a strong exception. And make no mistake, we're in a very deep level of game. I mean, you got players that, you got guys like a Jack Draper that are playing some great tennis right now that aren't necessarily the most sure-footed on clay, but are no slouches on the clay,
right.
and having some great results. And the guy just won a 1,000. Young, hungry, big serve, decent forehand, and a crushing backhand. These are players that could take you out on a bad day, for sure. Lorenzo Musetti, my main man Casper Ruud, who's very sure-footed on the clay. There are so many players. Demonar, is solid on the clay, as is Tommy Paul. So many players I think that are good. I just don't know if they have the firepower to go through
right.
a Carlos Alcaraz at the moment. Will they? We'll see. Jakub Mensik has that kind of game, but again, it's on clay. I don't know. There's players that have that ability to hit a bigger ball. But it doesn't seem likely. You could say it. You could say a Novak, at his prime, but he hadn't been in his prime since 2 years ago, and quite frankly, this year since the Dimitrov match in Miami. So I just don't see it happening, Alvin. I don't see it happening. I see it being a pretty well. I see it having some tougher sets, not necessarily some tougher matches.
Sure.
This to me seems it's a very, he's going into this very well prepared,
right,
and very well confidence, body, everything is in check. Everything that the Alcaraz camp wanted to have happen has now come to pass, and I feel like it's going to be a great tournament for him. And to be frank, he's going to he's coming into the tournament playing in as good a form as he can expect going into one where I feel like tennis is in a real good position to see that, because you want the better player to stay as long as possible.
Absolutely.
And have the chance to win it too. Let's be honest, all of us do. And if he does get beat, you want him getting beat by a guy who's even better than he is, not a guy that just bump him out and then that guy goes out the next round.
Right.
So I think it's gonna be, and I'm not so sure that Jannik is back 100%.
Yeah.
And that thing that I was left with this tournament, I'm thinking ball striking, he's there. He got better every match. Ball movement wise, looks like he was moving pretty well. I mean, he don't move that at all.
Yep.
I didn't feel like the penetration on the forehand. I didn't feel like even the penetration on the forehand return. There were some other shots that I just didn't feel like he was there yet. I didn't see the tight passes off some nice drop backs. I saw a lot of different things that I'm used to seeing from Jannik. Very impressed with his movement, by the way. I always have been. But I didn't feel like I ever saw. He had a couple of inside-out lasers that he's known for.
Mm-hmm.
It's that real good inside-out that he just tags that ball in. But he only saw it a few times, which lets me think that he may not have been feeling it enough to take it more often, right? And so those are the kind of matchups that I look for. When I see him taking the backhand, I say to myself, he's playing it safe. When I see him going for the forehand, I'm like, ooh, he's feeling it today. And that's one of those things where he's the one I'm worried about getting to the other end of the final, because he may not be. Now, the good news for him, he's still coming back. He's only gaining confidence per match. Give him 2 weeks, a day or 2 or 3 in the early days, right? Off in between, he might get there.
Yeah, and that's what these schedules are important, right? So the final's on Sunday, right? Today. He pulled out of Hamburg. Obviously, he's not going to play that. So he's got a whole week off.
Right.
Draw comes out Thursday. Tournament starts Sunday. He might not play until Monday or Tuesday, depending on how the draw breaks. Yeah, and then it's like you're playing a qualifier or a wild card, right? And then you're getting somebody else in the second round
who's likely between 75 and 98.
Exactly. And so now we're talking about, let's say he goes Monday, Wednesday, and doesn't play his round of 32 until Friday. That's almost 2 weeks from now, right? So, and then he's not going to see Carlos Alcaraz again for at least another week after that. So, I think that's good for him, because he'll also get some more sharpening in tournament, like round 32, round 16. If he gets through those two against some relatively high quality players, now I feel like, okay, we're ready to go. We're ready to go.
He will only get stronger. We know that about Jannik, and I'm really happy to see that he's back. It fills out the draw. There's no more question mark. I was really happy to see Alcaraz take care of him today, especially in the fashion he did in the second. It was just a good tournament. I have to say, I really wish this were the last one.
Well, I feel like this week, whatever. You got Hamburg. I think Novak's playing in Geneva, so some of the players who lost a little earlier than they would like Taylor Fritz is playing Geneva, so like getting some more reps in there. Let me ask you this, Lorenzo Musetti.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Lorenzo Musetti now? How different is that from, let's say, pre-Monte Carlo?
3 weeks ago. Then Toronto?
No. How do you feel about Musetti now, and how is that different than you felt about him before Monte Carlo?
Oh, Monte Carlo. Forget me.
Do you buy it? Do you believe in him?
That's such a tough question for me. Number one, on clay, yes. Number two, I can't give him, the purist in me can't give him props on the 1E. I think he is a good player, Alvin. I just can't, something in me, I just can't give him that extra. Do I think he's good? I think he's great. I think he's better than I know. I just don't think he has the goods to go through. I am coming from one of my favorite players, and I'm biased because Sko played him when he came up through the ranks. Fabio Fognini was one of the best ball strikers I have seen from the country. And Fabio had racket speed and a ball strike that few people have had. And when I see Lorenzo Musetti hitting the ball, he reminds me a lot of, and this is going to sound very harsh, Alvin, and I apologize ahead of time to the mortal that I am. But there are about 15 players out there and have played in the last 10 years or so that I feel are overachievers at the level they are at.
Okay.
They are 10 in the world due to points and rankings and whatnot, but they're really about 20 at best if everybody's healthy playing on a surface on a certain day. They're not 30.
I feel like you're about those shade of Lorenzo. Oh man.
Not shade, just what I would say to be, I'm not sure if he is in fact that solid. I have not seen his body of work, so I'm going to reserve full comment and full whatever. But I will say to you, I think Lorenzo is hitting his glass ceiling. I think he hits a good ball. I think he plays the point well. He holds up well to pressure. I'm not sure that he ever will beat anybody inside the top 10 on a day in a slam. He's that guy that ekes out a win or two in the semi or a quarter of a 1,000, and that's a big win for him, but you don't expect it. And I think he's riding a bunch of those, and he's there now. And I have to tell you, I don't think he is true top 8, which means quarterfinals or better of a slam going forward.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So Lorenzo Musetti hits the scene. I can't remember if it was 2019 or 2021. It was one of those, but it was Rome, right? Gets the wild. I think he got the wild card, and he ends up beating Kanish Corey and Stan Wawrinka in the tournament, right? This young kid. Who is he, right? So a lot of it is like he's got this one-handed backhand. He's got the look, and people assume, and he's good on clay, so people assume he's a little flashy. He's like more Gasquet than he is anything else, right? So I think what he's done a really good job of is kind of rounding out his game to be a little more durable on other surfaces, right? 100%. He semi-finaled Wimbledon last year. Like, come on, he beat Taylor Fritz, right, to do so. That would be that's a guy who's finishing top 5 in the world, right? Like to your point, people's rankings aren't always as good as they might be, or vice versa. They're not as good as their ranking, but he did it. So you got to give it to him. What I'm starting to see is like, yes, the backhand is attractive, but he does rely on the forehand. It's attractive. I'm not saying it's effective. I'm saying it's attractive.
Thank you.
He doesn't. He knows it's not his best shot.
And efficacy and aesthetics are two different things.
Yes, and he knows it's not his best shot. He doesn't fall in love with it. He works the forehand. Like it's not he's not like my one hand backhand is amazing and I hit it overall, right? he hits the forehand. I start to see him raise his floor across the board. I want to see it. Like, I think he is the fourth.
The fact that you cannot give it 100% full-throated endorsement.
I'm deciding.
There's something against him.
I'm deciding. I was going to say he's the fourth or fifth best clay quarter probably in the world.
Wow. I'm going to write that down.
My mic's still working. I'm just like, why are you?
Because, Alvin, I don't think he will get to the quarters of the French Open.
Okay, what more does he have to do? He finals Monte Carlo. He gets to the semis of this tournament.
The guy's a great player.
He just keeps losing Alcaraz.
You asked my opinion.
Okay.
I don't think he's that good.
Who are the top five? And it can't be Dylan, and Dylan. Who are the best? Because I spit hot backhands. Who are the best 5 clay quarters on the men's side right now?
I could see
number 1, number 2 are obvious. Okay, who's after that?
Number 1 and 2 are obvious.
Let's take Novak out. Let's take Novak out.
Novak's not.
Okay,
Novak's
take him out.
I think just he's out of the picture 100%. Alvin, you know how these draws work, Alvin. It ain't gotta be 5. It's gotta be 4 of them, and 2 of them you already called.
Fine.
Sasha Zverev will beat him, in my opinion, 7 times out of 10.
100%. He just beat. Okay, 7 out of 10. That's what you
said. In Italy.
You said 7 out of 10. So this leaves room for. Okay, I'm with you.
I would even say 6 out of 10 in Europe/Italy. He happened to come on him the other day, and mind you, Zverev's my doghouse. That's another point.
He choked his brains out.
Which is why I can't give Lorenzo the love.
6'5", serving 40 love and could not hold. What are you doing,
He pulled another Dominic Thiem U.S. Open final.
Oh, God. Okay.
But this is my problem. And let me say this for all the Lorenzo Musetti fans out there. I love his game. I'm a one-hander. I love his game. Any one-hander, that's my man. One-hander, I got it. This is less about Lorenzo, and it's more about the underperforming of other players. And I want to be very clear on that.
Who's underperforming?
Taylor Fritz for 1.
What do you expect from Taylor Fritz right now?
They're just not getting it done, Alvin, at the level that they're supposed to be to really kicking and going stride. Alvin, they're just not getting it done. Dimitrov for another one. Here's another one. You already mentioned Novak. We'll put him off to the side. Casper Ruud should have won at least one more and been a semifinalist or better at 2 or 3 Frenches up until this point to prove to himself and his camp.
He's not his final 2 Frenches. What are you talking about? He lost to Nadal. He lost to Djokovic. He's been there
years ago, Alvin. Years ago,
not long ago, but okay.
Years. Alvin, this is what I'm saying. And the fact that he hasn't done it recently bothers me. Alvin, that's the top 5. That's what they should be. He came back into relevance this year when he won. What was it?
Madrid.
Madrid. He just came back into relevance. Alvin.
So answer my question though. Who were the top? Are you saying Sasha and Casper are better clay court players than
Casper are better clay court players, 100%. And I think Lorenzo's that next tier. Make no mistake. I just don't think, mind you, it's due to their lack of being that solid that I just can't give him the love. Huh. He beats your boy. If he beats Jannik, he beats Carlos in straights, I will say, whoa. I didn't realize he was like that.
That's not what I'm asking of him.
That's what I'm asking. That's how I'm looking at him. He's not a contender.
Okay. Well, fair. Okay. Well, that's a different conversation because results make rankings. Rankings make seedings make draws. Which we're gonna do a draw show once the draw comes out on Thursday. Looking forward to it because you can't really predict the tournament until you actually see the matchups, right? Until you see the draw. So, what do I expect from Musetti in this tournament? I don't know. Depends where he falls in the draw. If he falls in Carlos's quarter and they meet the quarterfinals, well, that's about how far I expect him to go. But if he's not, and he lands in Zverev's quarter, not bad.
Not bad.
And who's 4 in the world right now?
The nod to Musetti.
And who's our? Well, yeah, whatever.
That's what I'm saying. But it's not due to Lorenzo. It's due to Sasha throwing up the goose egg. Alvin, you heard it right here. There are players, and I'm not saying that first of all, top 20 is in the world is great, not good. It is great.
He's top 10. Put some respect on his name.
I'm saying top 20 is what his. I didn't give him top 15. See, this is the same conversation you get me with JPEG. The exact same situation. You won't give her the love she needs to be the true top 5. And if she's 3, she might be overachieving by 1 or 2 spots. But she's top 5 all day. And that's my point about players tend to overachieve a little bit past their ceiling. I think that's where she's at. And I think Lorenzo is one of those players. I'm not throwing shade. If anything, the other top 5 players, Alexander Zverev in particular, is underperforming currently. And that's my issue with the rest of them having to beat that player, coming through a draw with that player, or getting through. I just can't give them the credit yet because of those others underperforming. Now, if we get past that, I'm with you.
It's not I think we're splitting hairs, but let's split them. Underperforming versus not being, I'm going to say, again, quote, that good, right? So we're going to come into this Grand Slam where Jannik's going to be the 1 seed, Carlos is going to be a 2 seed, opposite sides of the draft, opposite sides of the draw. 3 and 4 will be Zverev and Draper, I believe.
Wow.
Now, yeah. So at that point, it's luck of the draw. Do you land in any quarter that's not the top or the bottom one? You're like, I got a pretty good chance. Like Jack Draper's he's solid, but like he also gets into sticky matches in early rounds of Grand Slams. Like he'll get himself tired by the round of 16. Like that's happened to him. So
I'm still getting over the fact that we're talking about Jack Draper as one of the top 4 seeds into a Grand Slam. This is my problem, Alan.
He's finally 2 Masters in the last 2 months.
And playing great tennis. I just don't know if clay court wise at the French if he's that guy yet. I think Casper Ruud has proven himself on the clay. I think Lorenzo Musetti, unfortunately, has proven himself to a large degree. And Draper's playing some great tennis right now. That's not my point. I'm saying where are those other 3? And this is my other issue with just all of it. This is not about Musetti. Musetti's playing great. This is not about anybody who's coming up and out. Not about Tommy Paul. I thought Tommy Paul had a great tournament. Good. Congrats to him to get the semis.
Glad to see it.
These are guys that are playing some great tennis and doing very, very well. I'm happy to see them in all their success. This is me as a coach giving it the eye test. And I say to myself, he's going to need some help. He doesn't have the game by himself to go through or to match up against 4 different types of players on their good day. He can beat any of them on their bad day, and he can beat the guy that beats the guy. Is he the guy to go through one of those top guys or to go through or beat down one of the guys who's playing well that day? And I look at other guys that are just behind them or around them. I know the current rankings are what they are. A Draper, right? Who else is playing some good tennis right now? Cerundolo playing some good tennis right now. Can he beat Munar and
Feast?
Feast is playing well. Your boy. We just talked about it. Playing some good tennis right now.
Casper,
but Demonar that's not terrible on play. So you got these guys that are all right there that you're like, I don't know if I give him straight set wins over those players. I would actually give Draper an edge just due to some weapons. I'm not sure if I can give that to a Lorenzo Musetti just yet. And I would say that to say, should he go through the French without dropping a set and get to the semis? You're right here. I will go out and have a Lorenzo Musetti shirt made, and I will wear that shirt.
Oh, I hope it's the baggy sleeveless one that he's been wearing.
Baggy sleeveless. You can pick the shirt.
Yeah,
I will put Lorenzo Musetti, president for all I care, for all you care, on that shirt, because it's not that he cannot. It's just I don't think he's there yet, and I just am questioning I'm questioning the rest of the players that I still feel, wrongly or correctly, in high regard, that I think are currently underperforming, that should have checked a Lorenzo Musetti at the round of 16. That have not, that have let him skip through, and pass go and collect the $200 and got into the semis.
Luckily, we will see. I just say between 3 and 10, he's probably looking around going, why not me?
Why not me?
Why not me? Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the women's side, and then talk a little bit about some French Open pre-draw stuff. And we're back. All right,
Yes,
so
sir.
we just clicked through the men's side of the draw, or the men's side of the tournament. Talk a little bit about the women. We got Coco losing to Jasmine Paolini. Actually, let's spin that backwards. We got Jasmine Paolini beating Coco Gauff.
First time in 40 years.
First time in 40
that.
years, yeah.
Mr. Ghanaian, I appreciate you rewinding that and giving your almost fellow countrywoman,
my people,
a much needed shout out. Not only does she need the shout out, Alvin, she played great all week. She really took care. The crowd was behind her, but that's not her fault, and she played up to it. I was very, very impressed with her style of play. I forget, but was it Madrid? Where she lost to Sabalenka in the semis, I want to say, or was it semis or quarters? I thought it was semis.
I think it was Madrid. I think it was semis.
Well, and I remember her kind of. Arena went through a little bit, as Arena can do, and especially with the size and height difference that Jasmine and Arena bring to the table. But I was not only impressed to see her do this well, I kind of always thought Jasmine played a little bit better on hard court. She can play her on the rise style and move and basically be a type counter punisher, really counter puncher, really, and counter punisher when she's playing really well. And I thought she played great. I thought she played well all week, and she just is that little engine that could. She just completely uh, showed a new level, a new ceiling for me as a fan of hers. But I was also kind of taken aback that I really felt that Coco had an opportunity here, especially with Sabalenka and her loss to Queen Wen. I thought that was a situation that she had an opportunity to go through and really kind of notch her belt one more time. And I get it, Italy, Paolini, I understand it, but I also felt like it was yet another match where I felt like Coco was not able to go through someone as big as her game is becoming. The serve and the form, once again, Alvin, the serve and the form, once again, are not big enough to be world number one. And the backhand is there, they're on the rise, the returns are there. I keep coming back to those two strokes to say to myself, And it's getting to the point where everyone's starting to realize, just match up on the forehand side. You know what I mean?
And so it was one of those weird things. I'm watching the match, and I notice one particular thing where we've talked about this before, where you have to be fast enough to cover your own power, right?
That's right.
So like,
otherwise you hit yourself out of your coverage area.
Right. For her, it's obviously that's not the problem. She moves fantastic, best mover on tour on the women's side. But the one thing, her superpower is her ability to take the ball, any pace on that backhand side. She very much so, like Alexander, will hug the baseline, rip on that backhand side. She has phenomenal timing and feel on the left side of her body, right?
Yep.
But now she's in a bad spot where her technique on the forehand side now forces her into a bad spot with that tactic, right?
Yep.
So if she's on the baseline hugging that backhand,
she's almost going the opposite way.
She has to go like almost backward diagonally to 100%. Give herself enough time to hit the forehand, because she doesn't space it very well. Like she gets the ball gets so close to her.
For whatever reason, on the run, incredible. But on the step up and on the cross court, not so much. And that's, to me, that's spacing, and that's just
timing. Maybe it's like on the run, you're running, you have more time to
certainly more space, right? I don't know about more time, but I get your point. I'm saying, and that to me is a developmental issue where there should have been a lot more time playing against people where you had to go through them on a certain wing. And I feel like there's a little bit of, and that's just a shot to people at home. Don't hide a side that needs some work. It will come to a point. You hope you're lucky enough that it happens on the tour one day. But let's be fair.
Great problems.
But great problem to have. But at the same time, still a problem. You're going to have an opportunity. You're going to have that. It's going to catch it to you one day, one way or the other. Get to the point where there are no holes and you're just as comfortable. You might be more comfortable on the other side, but don't get to the point where you feel like that's not just, you're not comfortable at all doing that. And Badosa showed it. Paolini showed it today. There's just matches where I feel like the people are starting to say, yeah, I'm not so sure you can go through me on that side. Let's just see. Right. And that's going to continue to be a bit of Achilles heel. And that's it's been that way, and it's continuing. And unfortunately, I think Jasmine picked up on today. And how early is she taking the taunt return? I mean,
Dude.
I feel like the ball's landing out of the box, and Jasmine's airborne.
So she is
airborne, pulling the inside and backhand. I'm like, wow, that's early.
She's obviously small in stature, but her game style makes it like you feel like she's 6 foot. Like she's like 5'5", 5'4". She's small. Like, but she's
5'2". But
she's
your point,
on the baseline, right?
Yeah.
I really forced myself to so Jasmine kind of like hit her like ascension last year, Doha, right? Wins Doha, and then comes back and does well in the other UAE tournament, and then like obviously finals French Open, finals Wimbledon. Like whoa, where'd she come from? Age 28, right? So, but it's more than just a cool story. You start looking at her tennis, and like her timing on both wings is phenomenal, and she hits the ball clean as Christmas. Like straight through it, like on the rise. I'm going there.
If there was one issue, especially in that Sabalica match from a few tournaments ago, it was a second serve, right? The second serve set up like a pinata, just was, and that's something I didn't see Coco good serving percentage obviously from Jasmine today. Let me not forget to mention that, but I didn't feel like she punched her enough on that ball. I also feel like Jasmine did a great job of not giving her time. There was an episode in one of the Star Wars where Yoda comes out. You never really see Yoda wield the lightsaber,
right?
But he's all over the place. And size was not, obviously Yoda's tiny, but what Yoda lacked in height, he made up for in speed and being literally everywhere.
Right.
And you didn't know where he was coming from. Jasmine reminded me of that today. It's like either side, either wing, down line, cross court, open, didn't matter. And she was as potent on either side, either direction, and literally felt it looked like to me that she was more comfortable on the clay than Coco, and it also looked to me that she believed in her game a little more than Coco. And I don't want to read too much into it. She's playing well in her home country, but it just seemed there was some moments where you saw she knows she will win this match. Before she won the match, she believed she would win.
Well,
and I don't know if I saw that from Coco.
You can go back. I was just kind of like quickly checking this. So Jasmine lost Sabalenka in Stuttgart, right? At the Porsche Open, indoor, whatever. But Jasmine also beat Coco in that tournament. She beat her 4-4. So 4-4 is not, that's not overly telling.
Not 1-1, but yeah.
Right, yeah. It's just like I beat her a few weeks ago. I'm at home now. I can probably do it again. I know how to do it. So that's it. You could also say, okay, Coco just finaled Madrid. Tough final there. Comes right into this tournament. Gets to the final again. We could be a little bit exhausted. Had a hell of a not good long match against Junction Zheng, right? It's a 6-7, 4-6. It's a 7-6, 4-6, 7-6. Long, ugly, dirty match, but that's a winners and champions win those kind of matches, and she did. And nobody gets the dirt in the mud better than Coco Gauff. Like the uglier the match, like she believes in herself, she believes in her fitness, she believes in her mental.
Speed was there.
Yeah, she'll be there.
Wing also has a good backhand and can be a little up and down on the forehand. I'm going to say this, Alvin. I'm just going to say it. Coco has a higher ceiling. I would just love to be talking about her development on those other two pieces to increase said, to realize said potential. And that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm a huge fan of Coco. I've got a list of about 8 players that are still out there playing that played my girls 12 national tournament way back in the day. Anisimo was one of them, obviously Coco. My girl
Katie Bolly-Nets, I think she was from
Katie Bolly-Nets was in that
McCartney Kessler, that kind of group.
Kessler, I'm not sure if McCartney played, but there's a few others that are still out there that are still playing that I I think Lauren Davies and a few others. There's a few others that are still out there kind of hanging around. My point being, I love them all because I remember watching when they were so high, and it was neat to see them. Neat to see their game continue to improve. So I will always be a Coco Gauff fan. But the bigger a fan I am of you, my players as a coach, players that I like on the tour, the harsher of a critic because I know what your potential is, right? I adore Jasmine because of how much she's just continued to, I'm going to say the word overachieve. And it's not an overachieve because like she's not that good. It's just when I see 5'2", 5'3", battling against 6'1", I'm thinking to myself, she's maximizing everything she can. There are no 3 points for her. And yet she finds ways to get 3 points off returns and off of shots that I'm like, and you wish that a player who's 5'9", 5'10" could have the same mentality, you know what I mean?
Right.
And attack on return like she does. And so anyway, that was just something that I was very happy to see. And I would love to be sitting here talking to you one day with my Coco Gauff shirt on, saying New Balance, saying, Alvin, Coco has a forehand, and it is big and it is clean and it is just a wonderful say. I would love to sit here and say, Alvin, Coco hit 23 aces, including the down the tee, including the slice tee ad. I would love to be sitting here, and Alvin, she only hit one double fault for the last two. Right, I would love to be sitting here telling you that instead of saying, what other players starting to catch up to don't match up to Coco on the back side.
While we're talking about Coco, and then we'll move on to, I want to talk about Arena just a smidge. Last time we got together, we were talking about Coco's backhand being world class, right? Mm-hmm. But having your backhand being your best shot, it can only take you so far, right? You can't dictate based on physics. And you mentioned something. You're like, yeah, you can't hit a buggy whip. And we went on talking to someone about it. But I wanted to come back to the buggy whip, actually. Beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But I wanted to give you some time to explain, like, one, what is the buggy whip forehand? And two, why is it important to have? Give you a little space to kind of, because you taught me the buggy hip when I was in college at some point.
Yeah. The buggy whip, or the vertical finish forehand, as it's technically known, is a shot that has morphed. It goes back way back, almost to Borg. I mean, Borg did it back in the day. Pete Sampras was one of the players that I felt was one of the best players to bring it back into vogue. With
on the run forehand specifically,
on the run forehand specifically, he always finished above his head. Players like Lindsay Davenport, who almost did it exclusively when they were on the move. And of course, Rafa Nadal has made it his trademark shot.
Yeah.
The buggy whip forehand, from a technical standpoint, has a finish over the same shoulder. Now, done correctly, depending on your grip, obviously, the more semi-western you have, the more you're going to kind of go over the head, and the more eastern, you're going to finish more vertical. But either way, you're going to have a finish over the same shoulder. Now, the thinner you can hit it and still either hit it low enough and big enough over the net, or the higher and thinner, and buy yourself some time. My main man, Sebastian Grosjean. There's a name for
oh.
Sebastian used to hit this on the run buggy forehand up the line as a reset, would take the next backhand hitch kick back on the line, take it on the rise, and then would camp out for the inside out or inside in. Just it was like a pattern. Like, I know you're gonna go here. I know you're gonna go here. You're going to take my back. You're going to take my heavy ball back to my backhand. I'm ready for you. And when you go back to the back because you're not ready to pull the trigger, I'm going to sting you. And all the way to top 10 in the world, whatever you got to, 7, 8, whatever. My point, and again, not fairly vertically challenged, as far as he was. But I say it to say it allows a player to play bigger than they are, because it gives you both power and depth, or it gives you thinness and height, depending on how well you hit it. Nadal had the ability to hit all three. He had the inside in thin, that was a long lasso. He had the inside, he had the forehand deep heavy, that he went almost back behind his head. And he had the step up with the buggy finish. It almost went over the right shoulder.
Right.
And brought it back around. And that, to me, is pretty phenomenal. I've seen a bunch of different buggy whips. The buggy whip on the inside-in approach is a great one, because you're barely able to lift the ball over the net and couldn't get in and close. It's just a ball when you have tight spaces or you have tight time constraints. The vertical finish is faster. It's less of a shot, less of a swing, and it gives you the ability to manipulate the ball in different ways. What is it? It's a vertical finish. What does it do? Just about everything. And we have these. There's times when you have to improvise, and this is that shot. The hitch kick backhand is a similar shot where you have to kind of take it on that right leg and hitch kick your left knee. Those of us who are right-handed on that backhand early to kind of almost push into the ball a little bit, or the buggy, because you're already open stance, just allows you to take the ball a little deeper in the stance, a lot higher or lower, as the case may be. And it really is just it's a shot that a lot of coaches are kind of torn on. They don't necessarily like it from the purity standpoint, but if you're playing tennis and you're in an emergency situation, buddy, if I have an emergency break glass, that glass is broken off in tennis because I have to. I'm out of time. I'm out of court. I'm out of options. And if the buggy gives me that, hey, why not?
I'm glad you mentioned the hitch kick backhand because both of those shots they're almost opposite sides of the same coin, right? Like
100%.
they're break in case of emergency tactics when you are compromised for time, right?
100%.
Hitch kick backhand, right? You're going to get up on your backhand side. You get up on the front foot and you bring the right foot up off the ground to compensate for actually being a little late, right? Ball's in front of you.
Late to move.
Yeah, ball's in front of you. You can take it on the rise, but you didn't make the commitment early enough. So now the ball's your contact point allows you to go higher.
100%.
Yeah, and still be able to
and still have leverage.
Yeah, making yourself taller almost. Yeah.
Right, 100%. And it makes you, because of the way the shot is, because your knee's coming up, you almost have to have a higher backswing as a result, and there's no leverage up there, right? Nobody has a high backhand. It's none of us do. It's anatomically incorrect. But by hitting that hitch kick, you can make yourself 6 inches to a foot taller, depending on your jump and your timing, and you meet the ball at the best point with your weight going forward and up. And that's the key. So to me, to your point, great analogy, very opposite, diagonal opposite, but both shots, you're out of time, you're out of options, you got to do something, and it's one of those shots. I remember Marat Safin, there's been several others, but Marat was one of my favorite, who had the hitch kick backhand, and he would move inside the court and take hitch kick on you. He was a hitch kick back cross court. Marat was a big guy on top of it, but you see a hitch kick guy from a guy 6'5", or however tall he's 6'4", crushing a backhand already, and now he's taking a hitch kick on you early.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't hitting it slow. You know what I mean? So now you got this ability. I'm seeing one-handers now hitting hitch kicks, on the side, because they know they have to hit it that way. So it's a great adaptation to a situation that happens. And I don't think you can be you can't be a pro player and not have buggy with forehand. I mean, you gotta have that snap, and you gotta have all three. You gotta have a reset one, the laser pass on the low rope, and you got to have the buggy angle. I mean, if you don't have those 3 shots, to me, as a top junior, you're not going to make it without a buggy whip, because you're going to run out of time. I don't care who you are and what you're doing. The balls are coming too fast these days. You're going to run out of time. There's no time to finish over the opposite shoulder.
Yeah. So
on all shots.
From a technical standpoint, and this is kind of getting even further in the weeds. I think we're already in the weeds. Let's go into the dirt. When a right-handed player is running out wide, and that you can see this is the opportunity to hit the buggy whip forehand, what are some things that player should be thinking about? Maybe like 1, 2, or 3 things that you technically need to effectively hit a buggy whip.
100%. Number 1, I am the person on the run.
Yep.
I've got to get as late and as powerful a leg load as I can to hit this ball with the best height I can find. On the run, especially if I'm going backwards / sideways on a medium run. This is a weird one, Alvin. I call this on the move, not on the run. Okay. I'm running, I'm comfortable, but it's wide. Yeah. I can get there. What will I do when I get there, right? The buggy now buys me time. And this ball, I will almost always, again, being right-handed, jump off my right, land on my right.
Open stance, so it's an open stance. Okay.
1,000%. But this ball has to bring down raindrops. I mean, this ball's got to come down with such a trajectory that the high part of the net might actually be past the net. It might be closer to middle of the service box, not quite service line, to bring this ball down, because my only way of getting out of this jam is to make the ball so difficult for your on-the-rise backhand that it bounces above you or forces you back, hence my reset. Right. And so that's the first part. I gotta time it well. If I time it, if I'm early on it, I'm hitting it. If I hit it late, I can yank it up And I really want this ball to go back line so I can pretty much predict where you're going to go in the next ball. Hit it too low, step up the other person. Hit it too middle, crush forehand anywhere. Hit it down the line perfectly, a good rope. The ball, I'm back in the play 2 or 3 shots later. You actually saw that today in a couple of points with Alcaraz. He hit a couple of buggies and got back in the point with center. And if anything, because the backhand on the rise almost always goes cross court, right? You're taking it early, you almost can camp out on that side. On the next side, the buggy pass. This ball is the laser. You got to hook the baseline. I don't care if you're 5 feet off the baseline. You got to cut to and cut off the baseline, and you got to get low. And like a Porsche 911 Carrera, you got to be low. And that ball, you got to be about ball height with your head, and you've got to buggy that thing out past your ear and go lasso just past your ear out, because that ball has to be hit straight and low at just enough lift and hit that ball big and low and make the person go for it, and because you know if it lands, it goes.
Is that one's on the run, so you're not.
And that's on the
running
run.
through that one. You're not really hitting that
you're
one.
You're going through. You ain't come back for nothing. If you have the wheels to be able to slide, great. But to be honest, you are mid slide, lacing this ball here. And the other one to me is the buggy angle, in which case you got kind of a lower ball, not a step up, not a ball above the shoulder. You got a ball that just got low enough, just landed short enough. It's not an approach, it's not anything else, but you can move up a couple of quick shuffles, and this ball has to be able to get up and around the outside of the ball well enough that you're hitting that service box corner-ish, depending on how good you can hit it, and getting it wide enough on either side. Nadal was great at this ball. He pulled it wide on everybody. You had to slice off of it because he yanked you so wide with it. I think Carlos just hits this ball beautifully well. He hits that kind of low hook forehand, and usually you see a lefty do it, right? You're not used to seeing a righty do it. But that hook forehand is something serious, because now that ball breaks double sideline. You might be inside the baseline trying to get it back with a slice, and now players like Carlos are actually starting to come in off that ball because they know you got a slice.
Yeah.
And as any player who sees that open face, that continental grip, you know that person's a little bit in trouble and they look to come in. On the flip side of the how to hit one, when to hit one, we just talked about on the move, on the run, and obviously you're trying to get in control. If you are receiving the buggy, you have got to come forward. I mean, you've got to take that ball early. When you see that player drop it down that high, the later you move, the worse it is. Because once that ball drops on you on the buggy, you're done. It will bounce and check up on you so high. And your backhand side, if you're the same, obviously if you're right-handed playing a righty or lefty playing a lefty, it's just a ball you can't handle. It's going to be over you before you know it, pushing you back. And you're going to go from building, almost offense to, oh, crap, defense within one shot. So you got to take it early. And I think the other thing to keep thinking about is that know the play you're playing. If they're comfortable on the run, there's a 90% chance they have a buggy with forehand.
Yeah.
Because if a guy's got that good of wheels, you are those kind of players, Alvin. You were so fast that you almost were better on the run, right? So when you got out wide, and once we got you to handle had the buggy, you had a buggy angle, you had a buggy cross, you had a buggy line. And we got to the point where, and I remember working with you one time over at old school UTA. You kind of connected the buggy passes. You know, little pass shot drill.
Yeah.
And out of the passing shots, you got better defending, right? Sometimes it's the other way around. People take their defending shot and they turn it into a pass. You took the other way around. You took the pass and found a way to defend from the ground. And that's really, either way you get it, it's the same thing. But the point is that buggy can get to be so versatile that once a player has it, you don't really mind getting ran.
And it's one of those things that also, like, the grip, right? The grip a player uses, not chooses to use, but the grip the player has dictates how well they can hit the buggy. Like you mentioned on the open, that the more Western the grip, like the easier it is to get that spin on the buggy. And even from personal experience, my grip was, semi-Western on a good day, slipping further and further west. But in my 20s, well after college, almost into my 30s, I spent the time, I was forced to bring my grip around something that's more traditional. Shout out to Doug Davis. He told me once in my face, he's like, "Hey, I'm glad you're here. You can't teach here with that forehand, so you're going to need to slide that grip over." So I spent an entire summer hitting red balls in between summer camp sessions. Like, just like Coach Doug is talking to the players, I'll just be hitting with someone else, like short court red ball, like trying to figure out how to hit this thing, the thicker grip. Obviously, one of the best things I ever did for my game was to do that. Like, now I can hit a forehand with, like, I can actually tag a forehand. But that is one thing that I find it harder to do is hit a Buggy with forehand. It's more or less like non-existent now. I can't find it.
And I will tell you that the problem that you're probably having, though, where you were used to letting the ball be a little late and yanking, that with the grip being a little more out, you have to get the ball a little further out in front of you now.
I can't find it.
And hence the lasso out. And I think and once
lasso
out, not lasso up, that's the only difference you make, because remember, your face is going that way now. That's how your racket path, the path of your racket is going. It's going out. It's not vertical anymore. The grip's no longer there. It's no longer close. So you're going to have to find a way to match that path. So more out, less up. And again, depending on where you are, Pete was darn near Eastern on some of his forehands. And that's why you saw his Buggy was almost all out here. He didn't even really go behind his shoulder. All of his on the runs were almost in front and stopped, almost over his head. And he was lacing those forehands. Where Nadal is somewhere between, he's a full-fledged semi, and with him being on the bottom of the grip like he is, he might be a little more, he's closer to Western than he is to Eastern. I'll put it that way. Well, and so that's why he gets all the way back and around. He almost finishes behind him sometimes on the Buggy finish.
I was talking to a woman who is a tennis content maker, super funny. I'll drop her information down in the description at some point, Farron. But Farron's super funny. Love her take on tennis. She's a beginner player. And then I was like, you should come on the show sometime. And she's like, I would love to, but you guys get into it. She's like, I'm like a 2.5. I'm like, okay, fair. Sometimes we do get into it. And Farron, if you're listening right now, I see what you're talking about. But anyways, okay, so we'll leave Coach's Corner and let's wrap it up. The one thing I wanted to say about Arena, the loss she took to Junction Zheng, whatever.
No, that was a loss. I thought it was a walkover. It looked like a walkover second set.
She conceded. Obviously, she's had a fantastic spring, right? She won Stuttgart. She lost in the final of Stuttgart to Panko. But then won Madrid, came here. She's got plenty of matches. She just needs to get out of here healthy and get to Roland Garros as the, I think, odds-on favorite right now. But there's one thing that I took from the match against Junction Zheng. QZ was 0-7 going into that match against Arena, right? And she finally beat her.
Yep. I read the article.
Whatever.
Respect, blah, 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 blah.
And I think about that win. I mentioned this maybe in February, March, something like that. Jack Draper got to the semifinals of the U.S. Open last year on some, we'll call it some shade. Not shade, but like everyone was just kind of like falling in his path, right? But he got there. And that was like kind of the beginning of the ascension, the true ascension for Jack Draper. And I was thinking about the same thing with that I thought about Draper, about Junction Zheng, is like, it almost doesn't matter why it happened. The player,
but that
it happened to the player. It happened. Sure. And so now they just, Jack left New York as a semifinalist in a Grand Slam. Cool. He now sees himself that way. And fast forward 9 months, he's top 5 in the world.
Yeah.
And he didn't become top 5 in the world because he made the semifinal of the Grand Slam. Not those points. It's, I am now carrying myself like a top 5 person, and he's not chasing, but like proving to himself all the time that I am this good.
And everyone else.
And I'm trying to think about it with Junction Zheng. It's like, okay, she won this match. Doesn't matter why she won this match. She now has data that's like, I can beat her. Doesn't matter why I beat her. I did. So I can. That means I can do it again. And that is, I'm not saying that if they match up at French Open that I'm worried about Arena. I'm just saying, let's hold on to that for a second.
Are you willing to go on record and think that Queen Wen is going to get to semis are better of the French. Is that what you're saying?
Well, everything I say here is on record, unless I edit it out. This is a public podcast, and I do have that ability to do so. Could she make the semifinal? Okay, so I just asked you the same question about Musetti, and you went on your whole Musetti diatribe. It depends on the draw. It depends on the draw. If she's not in Arena's quarter, sure, why not? Like, she beat Iga at Roland Garros. Now, granted, it wasn't the tournament, but she beat her there at the Olympics, right? It's still 2 out of 3 sets. What are we talking about? Like, who else am I concerned about? She's final at a Grand Slam. Who else am I concerned about?
And has done nothing else of note since.
It's good matchups. You didn't ask me if she was the second best player on clay court. You said she was.
And I'm going to give you a shorter diatribe this time on Zheng. I always butcher her name.
I got you.
This is my issue. Her game matches up to certain types very well. I love her game, by the way. I think she hits a beautiful ball. I think she hits she's clean. I'm loving everything she's doing for tennis in Asia, China specifically. She's awesome. However, she does not have some of the weapons. She's much like my favorite player without a serve and a forehand to speak of at a high level, Coco Gauff. The backhand at some point is just not as big. And I think her forehand may be a little bigger than Coco's. Now, here's my point. Here's my problem. If I have a player that doesn't match up great, she needs help. And when I say that the player needs help, they need a bad day. They need a good draw, and they need the right kind of matchup on certain times and right surface, with their game being, in my mind, playing pretty solid out of the gate and all the way through. And that just also doesn't happen. It doesn't happen to the players that have all the complete package, right? It doesn't happen for Arena every time. So it's just much more unlikely to happen. Do I think they get the semis? Is it possible numerically? Of course. Is it likely? I don't think so. And that's my problem with Musetti. They have the potential. Yes, if the sun, moon, and stars align, you're absolutely right. I'm not saying he can't do it. He's done it. I'm saying, is it likely? And when I say is it likely, my answer is no. Now, could she? I look forward to seeing it. Does she see herself now more plausible because she's done it? Sure. Do I think it changes anything with her game? Does it change anything on court? No.
Okay, so when I give this question back then, okay, so if you think Junction Zheng will not make the semifinals of the French Open, Roland Garros, sorry, let me be specific, then who will? Obviously, we're doing this before the draw is out, right? So this is just really like, who are the 4 players that you expect to be in the semifinals if they're not playing each other ahead of that?
I'm going to go out on a limb here. Of course, Arena. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, and I think Coco will certainly be there. I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you I got 4 of the players that I think have a better shot.
Okay.
One of them is Jasmine Paolini. Second one is Ostapenko. Third one is Peyton Stearns. And the fourth one is, and this is and I gotta throw it in there, Alvin, because you've been sleeping on my girl, Jessica Pegula.
Okay. All right. Oh, Jesus.
Right?
All right. That list is nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. Okay, actually, I don't disagree. That makes a lot of sense.
And Paula Mendoza would be in that list and might bump out with us if she were healthy. But unfortunately, she's not healthy.
You know, if ifs were something.
Yes, yep. That's my point.
So Jasmine's solid. Yeah, I could see her making she'll be probably the 4 seed. Maybe, yeah, I could see her being in the semifinals again. Absolutely. Her game holds up. She's solid. She's been there before. Got it.
Yep.
Who else did you say? You said Coco? Probably. Yep. Why not? Coco's probably the second or third best clay quarter in the women's side. Like, so, 100%. Yeah, sure. And she's final French Open before? Yeah, she lost the Iga once. So, okay, I'll give you that.
Mira is who I want. I just haven't seen Mira play that solid tennis going in. I think Mira is going to be incredible. And I just feel like she goes on these runs and then she goes radio silent. And I really would like to believe more in Mira.
I don't trust her to hold up on clay over 2 weeks.
On the clay.
That's yeah.
But she's who I like as far as who I want to see. but I'm going with just who I think has the experience, has the match ability, and so on. And again, you heard it right here. Peyton Stearns and Emma Navarro both are, in my opinion, very similar game. Peyton's got a bigger forehand and plays a little bigger up serve, but they're if not Peyton, a player like Peyton. It'll be an Emma. It'll be somebody like it. And you heard it right here. Peyton's playing some great tennis right now.
Don't come at me with Peyton Stearns propaganda when I
am
the Stearns propaganda machine.
100%. I'm just telling you, I think she could do it this year for that same reason.
So if I decode that, you're saying, Alvin, I finally see what you've been seeing for the last year, and I agree with you.
Oh, good God. Got it. Alvin, awesome. I have always liked Peyton Stearns. And yes, Alvin, you're right to call Peyton Stearns. Let me decode this one. I do not think that Queen Wynn has the goods to go to the semis and beat 3 players that are top 10 in route. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, fine. You always put me in this position where I end up saying something negative about Jessica Gabula, and I don't want to.
Say it
because traditionally she hasn't done that well in the tournament. So I don't actually think that it's not. She likes to play to the middle of the court pretty firm, right? Hug the baseline. That just doesn't equate well in this particular environment. That's all. It's not shade. Jess, it's not shade. It's not shade. It's not shade. She won Charleston. I saw it. It was no shade.
Jessica, haters gonna hate.
I'm not. Jesus. I'm done. Okay. We're done. We're gonna wrap it up. We will come back. We're gonna get together later this week. The draw for Roland Garros come out Thursday.
I look forward to it.
In the morning.
This is gonna be a good one.
We'll take our looks at it, and then we'll get together. We'll talk about it, and then you guys are gonna hear and see a lot of us for the next 2.5 weeks. It's gonna be a lot.
I would love to get a few questions from some of the viewers about various matchups. I would love to see the viewers to kind of throw out some, I'm going to say some barbed questions to get us to take a, Stephen A. Smith level of, where do we stand on certain things? Is that possible to put that out?
It is. I'm shout out to all the people who've been engaging with us on YouTube. Very active. Love to hear that people are, rocking with us and laughing with us and taking in some tennis with us. I will put the question out to people: how do they want us to talk about the French Open? Because I have ideas. It might be, what match did we enjoy on that particular day, right? And we'll try to get some feedback from the audience. What matches are you guys excited about when the draw comes out? Maybe we'll live stream this. Maybe we'll live stream this podcast and let the fans, the listeners, just chime in live with us.
Simultaneous.
That'd be scary. That'd be scary.
Absolute money.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. What round? Should we have
and match? Yeah.
Should we have some of our friends join us to kind of talk through some of these matches? I think Sko would love to come back. I think Bobby would love to come back. I hear your boy Gusky might be available. Maybe,
absolutely.
Maybe Ansley. So we'll see.
Absolutely.
We'll see. We'll see. We love Grand Slams. But yeah, let's wrap it up. We will come back. We'll talk to you guys later on this week after the draw drops. I'm still Alvin. That's still Torrey. Best of 3. We out.